Welcome to the Success Partner Podcast. I'm Daya Naef, your host and founder of The Success Partner. On this show, we dive into the stories of attorneys, business professionals, and entrepreneurs who have navigated the ups and downs of building successful careers and businesses. From the strategies they've implemented to the challenges they've overcome, we're here to uncover the insights that can help you on your own journey to success. So sit back, relax, and let's get started. Welcome back, everybody, to the Success Partner Podcast. I am your host, Daya Naef, and today we have in the studio Carmen Hiers, and she is the principal at TransForma Translation Services, and they're based out of Miami, right? Is that?
We're in Miami, yes.
In Miami. I love it. And she's going to share a little bit about what she's been working on. So, Carmen, take it away.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Daya. So, as you said, I'm Carmen Hiers. My company is TransForma Translation Services. We have been in business for 16 years, and we do translation primarily for the legal, corporate, and banking sectors. And we do quite a bit for the legal profession. We work with immigration attorneys. We work with pretty much every type of attorney, really, because in Miami, as is the case in the rest of the country, pretty much everybody at some point will need something translated because they're dealing with a case that involves a foreign entity or a non-English speaker. So a lot of people need us, but the work that we do the most involves immigration and also cross-border transaction work and cross-border litigation. In fact, right now we are working on a very big case with a law firm here, and it involves some resort properties in Mexico. And there's a giant dispute, and it's being tried in federal court. So we have been given about 2,500 pages of trial exhibits to translate. So we're keeping busy with that right now, in addition to everything else that we do. So that gives you an idea of the kind of work that we spend our time on.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And definitely in our major cities, we have multiple languages that are spoken day in and day out. What languages do you primarily handle?
About 80% of the work that we do is Spanish, English or English-Spanish, either way. 10% would be Portuguese. And when I say Portuguese, I mean Brazilian Portuguese. And then the remaining 10% can be anything. Okay. One of our clients is a company that has a contract with FEMA to do disaster recovery work. And they are working on a pretty large project, and they've been asking us, this has been an ongoing project. So we've been doing translation for them from English into 13 languages, and 9 of them are rare. So languages like, let me see if I remember them all, Palawan, Pampayan, Chuukese, Yapese, Palawan. Now that I say that already, Palawan. There's a bunch of them. There's like 9 of them, in addition to Asian languages and Spanish and Haitian Creole. So we can pretty much run the gamut. So, yeah.
Yeah. And would that be for like getting out like policies and information? I know FEMA's for emergency response or actually.
Yeah, it has to do with that, sign up, use this portal, here are the instructions, we need this, so a lot of, basic information, but it's needed in 13 languages. So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know in New Orleans, you'll see stuff posted in English, French, and Vietnamese, since those are our 3 primary languages. Obviously, you want to get the information out to the population that you have. Yeah,
Absolutely.
very interesting.
A language that they can understand. So, yeah, that's critical. Yeah.
So, what kind of trends are you seeing in your industry?
Well, artificial intelligence is a thing, as it is in most industries. It is, I want to say, disrupting in a good way my industry, because there are a lot of processes and a lot of things that can be done with artificial intelligence. The large language models can be used, not necessarily to translate, because that's not something that we want. They're not humans yet, and, there's liability issues. But they can certainly be used to check work, to proofread, to double check, to go after. Once a translator works, the artificial intelligence can go in and check. And the other way around, sometimes the artificial intelligence will do it, and then the linguist will check. So it's really useful. A lot of people believe, and I get asked this question a lot, oh my God, is this going to put you out of business? And the answer is no, at least not for the foreseeable future. These things are tools. And what I like to say is that the translator, the linguist, the language specialist who does not learn how to use AI will be left behind and will be put out of business, because nothing is done manually anymore. In my company, we use a lot of software and we use a lot of tools. Nobody sits there, doing this anymore, looking at a piece of paper. That just doesn't happen, So So yeah, these are very useful tools all around. So, and we use them.
Yeah, I think it's been around a lot longer than we realize. I know with like e-discovery professionals, court reporting professionals, like the software's been around for a little while. Now it's just now coming out into sort of
People are
mainstream
just
use.
starting to discover this stuff. Google Translate has been around for almost 20 years. It was launched in 2006. Yeah,
Wow,
it's,
that's
so it's
interesting
been a
to
thing.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's come a long way in it, but it definitely like, especially with languages, the nuance and the tone and the things that just the human picks up, that, a native
exactly.
speaker or, a linguist would know that a computer is not going to know anytime soon.
Exactly. So they do a lot of the heavy lifting, but they still need what I like to call babysitting. They need to be checked. They are not. And another thing that people don't realize, especially with the open source Google Translate and the other machine translation engines, is that that data will be kept by whatever machine translation engine you use. So if you upload some confidential documents to Google Translate and use that data is kept to train the models. So that is information that become indexable and searchable. So you have to be really careful what you upload. I always tell all my attorneys, don't put anything confidential up on Google Translate. It is not a good thing. Your clients will probably not appreciate it. So yeah, you have to be very, very careful.
Yeah, I heard really anything in Google, especially if you have a free like Gmail, G Drive, it's like that's already kind of
That's
searched
self.
by Google.
Yeah, yeah. It's no privacy.
Yeah, exactly. So how did you get into this? This is your business, your baby, and happy sweet 16.
Thank you. Well, I've been in languages in one way or another for over 30 years. Back in my previous life, I worked in television. I worked for Univision, which is a Spanish language network. And then that was in the early 90s. And then later on, I went to work for Discovery Networks and I was working in media and communications. And in between those two tenures, I was a freelance Spanish to English translator. So I've always been doing this. During my freelance years, I had a lot of really good clients. I had Microsoft, MasterCard, Benetton, some nice big names. I was very lucky. And one of those clients was Discovery Networks. So at some point they asked me to, come in house and I said, okay, fine. Yeah. They made me the offer I couldn't refuse. And then 3 years into it, I said, I really don't like this. I don't like the corporate world. I want to be on my own. So I left and I decided that I wanted to stay really in languages. The translation part of things is what I really enjoyed, but I did not want to be the translator. This time I wanted to set up an agency. So that's what I did. And my first few clients were the media groups in Miami, like HBO Latin America and some others. And then I started to get legal clients. I also landed a pretty big corporate client that I have to this day, a company that produces content for e-learning based in Switzerland. We handle all their Spanish content for them. Then I started getting into legal work and more lawyers. I discovered that a lot of lawyers, I didn't know this, need translation, because of Miami being such an international place and, the gateway to the Americas and a lot of people from all over the world. So I started doing more and more of that. And here I am 16 years later. Yeah.
Just keeps going and going.
Yeah.
So what do you do for fun?
I am a cyclist. I love cycling. I took up cycling about 14 years ago after not having been on a bike for 25 years. So that was painful. I just said, you know what? I really like bike riding. Let me do this. And I went on a long ride and I almost died. I couldn't move for 3 days. But the next weekend I was back. I was like, I really want to do this. I want to get better. I want to get fit. I want to get a better bike. And I haven't stopped since. It's what
Absolutely hooked on it, huh?
I do 4 times a week. Yeah.
Wow.
It's
Yeah,
great.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So like, where do people find you when they want to use your services?
Well, they can go to my website, which is www.transformaonline.com. And that's probably the best place. They can also find me on LinkedIn. I am on LinkedIn. I'm not super active there, but I have a profile and I do comment on, friends and colleagues. I haven't posted lately, but I am absolutely findable on LinkedIn. So those are probably the two best places.
And I love the name of the company, Transforma. How did you come up with that?
I wanted the letters like trans, TRANS, in the name of my company. I didn't want to name it after myself, and I didn't want to name it like anything like Lang, Lingo. A lot of companies in my space do that. I was like, no, I want something different. So I thought of trans. There's another company, the biggest translation company in the world is TransPerfect out of New York. They do $1 billion in business, so they're quite huge. And I like the fact that they used trans in their name. And I said, well, I'm going to do that too. And I thought transform because, we transform, content into different languages. So to me, TransForma was a great name.
I love it. Yeah, it's easy to remember and it rolls off the tongue and awesome.
Yeah.
And I know we met through ProVisors. So how is that organization going for you?
That's been a great group. I really like the people that I've met there. I'm active in the Miami chapter. I have a home chapter, but then of course I guest everywhere because I really like this experience. We get together in person. We get together on Zoom. Something I did last year because I started networking in California a lot and I made friends and I got clients. And last December, I decided to take a little networking trip out there. So I spent the week in San Francisco and it was awesome with all my ProVisors friends and clients. And I really love this. I really do. I am hooked.
It is. It's a great group. I was just, in DC to do our regional events and same, dinners and coffees and anybody and everybody was like, let's get together. So definitely a familial professional group.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, Carmen, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. Listeners, her contact information will be in the show notes because I know nobody writes anything down anymore. So that will be our AI generated show notes. So that will be in there so that you can click and connect with Carmen. So I am Daya Naef. I am the host of the Success Partner Podcast. Please
thank you for joining us on the Success Partner Podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation and found some valuable takeaways to apply to your own business journey. Remember, this show is brought to you by The Success Partner, where we help small law firms and business owners achieve unparalleled success through strategic guidance, operational excellence, and effective marketing. If you're ready to take your business to the next level, visit thesuccesspartner.net to learn more. Until next time, keep striving for success, and I will see you in the next episode.